guys, how you going? So today on BKRsport, we are back. We are damn well back. In the Sheds has returned. Obviously, I know you guys enjoy this show quite a lot. You guys have been asking for this podcast to come back for quite some time. And obviously, it has been a difficult time right now for everyone. And I thought this is the best time to bring it back where everyone's stuck at home. No one has the ability to kind of go out and everyone's looking for things to do, things to watch, content to, take in. And I find that despite the fact that there is no sport worldwide, we can definitely sit back, relax, chill out, have a bit of banter, and have a yarn about some sporting topics that don't really necessarily relate to what's going on in the immediate sport, as in like what's happening in the league, but it's more like a generic, we've got plenty of generic topics that, people will find very interesting. I find very interesting. This podcast is something that I've really enjoyed for quite some time, and we have a couple of other guys that join us each week. I will obviously be hosting in the Sheds each week, but we do have our co-host, which is Shells. You guys may know Shells. He was there last time when we originally had this podcast, and we've also got Hayden. Now, Hayden, he actually has his own channel, which is called Entertain House. He does NRL content on there, so definitely go and check him out. And obviously, Shells, you guys all know Shells. And if you're not subscribed here, well then, firstly, you should go and subscribe here to BKRsport because we just love our damn well sport. We have our topic for today. You've obviously read the title, and we're going to get into that in just a few moments. So let's go say hello to the boys.
What's up, big fella?
G'day, Blaze.
Hello, lads. G'day. I'm in Fiji right now, but you get the nice little Australian.
As we've been told many times. We've been told many times, Blaze, you're in Fiji. We get it.
Well, no, this is the first podcast in like how long? When was the last time we actually had this podcast, Luke?
Oh,
Used it in 2018.
Who even knows, Blaze? It's been a while.
I think Hayden just said it, and we were the ones on the show hosting the show, and I think Hayden has just actually said when we had the show last. Did you listen to it before? Did you, mate?
Oh, I was dreaming of being in the Sheds, mate.
Oh, that's the way. See,
stop it!
That's exactly.
Stop it, you cutie!
Yeah.
What a cutie!
Alrighty, boys. Well, obviously, today's topic is not. Well, we're not going to speak as per usual, like in regards to what's happening in the league, because we all are very well aware of what's going on right now. We're not going to say the name of it, but yes, obviously there is no sport. What's our thoughts on that, lads? Like, how are you guys coping?
Well, yeah, a lot of the stuff we all do is online, so I guess I know we're used to being in our rooms, I guess, but yeah, that's same old, I guess, in a weird way.
Yeah, it's getting pretty tough. Just going to work, coming home, no going out, nothing. Watching sport brings people together, and I'm keeping count. 8 days without rugby and AFL, 20 without.
Yeah, exactly. Just on that, I've been on BK YouTube, Instagram. I've been doing a count, like a picture every day for like day 1, day 6, day 8, and I've been updating every single day with how I'm feeling throughout that day in regards to the sport. But obviously, the topic of today is very relatable into what's going on right now. I thought this was the perfect topic to start back up on for our weekly podcast in the Sheds. And obviously, it is how much does sport impact society? Because we've found that with sport being completely shut down across the world, except for Luke's favourite sport, the Belarus national football. That's the only.
The Belarusian Premier League, mate. There was a derby the other day, 3-2. I forget who got up. I couldn't really tell you, but apparently the Prime Minister or the President or whatever he said in true Soviet fashion, drink vodka and it shouldn't be infected. So,
Lovely.
Yeah, the Belarusian Premier League's been carrying on. I don't know how much longer it's going to go on for, but it seems it's going to keeping on the way it's going. So, yeah, real weird. But everyone's tuning in.
You've got to be happy with that, though. Like, they I guarantee they would get no view. Or they'd only have... Well, obviously, they'd only have, Belarusians watching it yearly, and now they have the entire world watching it yearly.
Yeah, well, did some quick fact check. Apparently, there's 9.5 million people in Belarus, and there was 3,000 people at the derby. So
3,000 people at the derby. So you're telling me... No,
I don't know how big these teams are.
No, hold on. You're telling me that Gold Coast Titans get more crowd than the biggest derby in Belarusian football?
I don't know if it's the biggest derby. Like Bate Borisov, if anyone knows that team,
I've heard that team name.
They've been in the UEFA Champions League a fair few times. They're the usual kind of champions. They're like the Bayern Munich of the Belarusian Premier League, I think. But it wasn't them. It was Minsk and someone else. So Basically,
This is
yes,
stitch up.
it's heating up in Belarus. Shout out all the Belarusians watching.
Oh man,
But
that is absolutely
yeah.
crack up. Like it is crack up that obviously we're in a time right now where there's no NBA, there's no NFL, there's no rugby league, there's no European football. There is European football in Belarus, but there's no Champions League or Premier League. And even when you go down to
the lower tiers,
the lower tiers, like we're obviously not going to speak about the potential of teams being removed. We can talk about that in another time, but obviously that does have a huge impact. And actually, it could kind of be briefly gone over in this, but boys, obviously, this is very difficult to get through. How do you personally feel sport truly affects on society?
I would say basically we'll start firstly for Australians. We'll start on Thursday where, Thursday night footy, there's usually a game on. That kind of kicks the whole weekend off, doesn't it? Early weekend, Friday, another 2 games are on. You got, what else you got? You got EPL kind of making its way. Then by Saturday, Sunday, you got everything on EPL. If you watch other European leagues, you got rugby league, you got AFL, you got everything, right? So by the time Monday comes around, you're talking about what happened in the game, reflecting on the highlights. You're talking about the next game. Tuesday, you continue Monday's conversation, and same on Wednesday. And by the time Thursday rolls around, it's time to watch the game again. So it's really weird because I feel like a lot of conversations in society are really based around sport. Everyone's going to the pub or your local club to watch sport. That it can be like a one-off event like boxing or MMA, or it can be a season-long sport such as football, rugby league, rugby union, whatever's your fancy. But it's very weird, isn't it? The entertainment value that sport brings and the actual just the feel good happiness, I guess, is just completely gone. There's people don't know what to do because they base so much around sport of their lives. So, and that isn't a bad or good thing. It's just that it's a part of their routine, and that's gone. That's been taken away. So I'm not too sure what to do sometimes. I'm waiting around. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I just got a KO Sports membership for my dad for his birthday. I'm like,
what a present.
Yeah, that goes.
Yeah, well, that was, yeah.
So,
but look, it was good. It was a good thought. Like, it was a good thought to get your dad a KO, but now it's like you've basically given him nothing. You've given him nothing for his birthday. How do you feel?
I feel like a bit of a shit son.
Straight up. All right, we're going to move on from you now after you being a shit son.
No. He was looking forward to watching the surfing on there, and they have like good sporting documentaries and stuff like that, and especially they got a lot of rugby league stuff as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's really strange, isn't it? That just nothing is on except for Netflix, and it's not like someone can come around and watch Netflix with you. So what's the point of really watching anything at the moment half the time? So except for listening to this podcast.
Hayden,
what do you think, Hayden?
Yeah, what do you reckon?
Well, it was, as soon as he said the fact that you go to the pub and you're excited for sport, he makes a brilliant point. So I work all week, and then Thursday night for the last 3 years, my tradition has been to go and watch the first rugby league game, enjoy a meal, see a mate I don't even see regularly. It becomes it's a social thing, and 100%. Sport is an escape, in my opinion. The best way to explain it is an escape. It's a way of getting away from, not reality, because you're still interacting with people, but it brings people together. And even if you are someone who watches sport alone and you're listening to this and you watch it from your home alone with no one around you, it's still an escape for you. It's an escape for, that's the way I think of it, as an entertainment and people escaping it. And it's really tough. It's, as I said, I've been counting the day, and it's been really tough for me, and I'm sure it's been a lot tough for a lot more people, including the athletes who play it themselves. But I think we're all coming together.
I'm going to throw a couple of numbers out here, because obviously this doesn't just affect, obviously you guys have gone through basically how it feels as a fan, like an everyday citizen, the public, on how it affects the public. However, I'm going to throw a few numbers out here that might actually shock you. When it comes to the tourism industry, as in specifically travel, so I'm expecting here flight costs, all that type of stuff. There was a number where it says equates to roughly 7.68 billion globally. The flight, basically, like getting to places. And when it comes to the economy, the Chicago Cubs, my Cubbies, my baseball Cubbies, huge team over in America. And these are a lot of American statistics because there's not many Australian statistics that are very public. The Chicago Cubs bring in roughly $600 million to the state of Illinois annually. Like, that's one club. That's
just from people coming in to watch the game and then going out after the game to the local bars and clubs and
100%.
stuff like that.
Like, obviously, you guys are very well aware that last year I was in Chicago and I went to Cubbies games. That's why I am a Cubs fan. That area there around Wrigley Field, which is called Wrigleyville, this place it's basically like a home for sports fans. Everyone feels like they need to experience Wrigley Field once in their lifetime. So everyone travels to Chicago to go and have this experience. Now, when we're talking brings the economy roughly $600 million to the state of Illinois annually, that's everything from food to hotel to transport to absolutely everything inside that city. And obviously right now, Chicago doesn't get any of that. And that's just from one club. That's one club right there.
Well, how many people are affected by that? You're saying like the people that are bartending there, the people that own the restaurants, the people that are the bus drivers and the Uber drivers around there that are taking people to and from. Now I think people might start to realize how many people it's actually affecting, not directly in sport, but around from sport. Like in Australia, like when the EPL clubs come over here and play at like MCG or Optus Stadium, I've travelled to Melbourne with friends just specifically to see EPL clubs come over, and we spend a whole weekend or a few days in Melbourne and go out and eat there and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what happens. So what you're saying, I really do understand that point, that a lot of people are affected because all industries, the hospitality industry in particular and transport, where people are providing the services around sport to get to the game after the game and chat about after. So yeah, it's very, very eerie times, isn't it? Really?
Well, the thing is
even businesses, you think about pre-game, a lot of businesses benefit from speaking to people pre-game, even not relating to the sport, but they're always outside and you see them promoting their stuff. You think about the situation they're in now. A lot of people have lost their job and business losing. You think about sport and the impact of sponsoring. That's going to be a big effect when
sponsorship is absolutely insane right now. Like, for example, let's quickly go back to rugby league here. They're in absolute dire straits. And I believe that, for example, I don't even know if this is classified as a sponsor, but it's Channel 9. Obviously, they want to completely remove their entire financial backing of rugby league right now because they have no new content to put on the television for the fans to watch. So if they take out that's in the billions, I believe. That's like a really heavy hundreds of millions for that contract.
Well, I think they want to be compensated somewhat for not. They've invested obviously every year for how many years is rugby league. Channel 9 is the home of rugby league. So the whole thing is that, they were expecting this much from advertising, like your big ones like VB that are always on, and Tui's. They're the big ones that are usually. Chemist Warehouse been a massive sponsor as well of in between ads and stuff like that. But in terms of that and Channel 9 wanting to be kind of compensated, I really do see why they want to pull out because there's no funding. Everyone's at a standstill. The clubs are shut.
Just quickly on that, I will say this. Where do you draw the line in regards to, look, if Channel 9 withdraw that basically messes up rugby league completely and would effectively cancel this competition as it is, potentially remove multiple teams, and it basically destroys the NRL. Or if they do financially continue to invest and help the game continue, which means they have a product next year, where does it come that they're basically becoming a charity for the NRL to keep them afloat for their own product? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this sounds like it's not quite the same, but remember when Leeds, I think we spoke about this the other day, Blaze, where Leeds pretty much they got money for finishing in a high place, like in the Champions League places, and then they went out and bought heaps of people, and then what happened was that they didn't finish high enough in 2 seasons in a row, and they had to sell everyone. It's like this with the NRL, where they've gone, well, we're going to get this much advertising from these massive brands, and then when it doesn't happen because this what's happening now in the world, they go, oh, well, we'll see you later. Like, we got to get rid of everything. And yeah, when does it become a charity where they're just paying for the league to just continue because no one else can fund it. I don't know where that is going to come from, to be honest.
Oh, it's a tough one. Does it become a charity? You think about the players that commentate, or even the commentators themselves that put in. It's a whole effect on the economy, and I do think it kind of does become a charity because you're feeding off for multiple years. I wanted to make the joke. I can't even make it now, but the fact that the Channel 9 might be pulling out because they're sick of the Thursday night Broncos games. But
Friday night Broncos.
It's an eerie thought now.
What about the fact that players, they're told they might have to take up to a 80-something% pay cut? 82 is being thrown around 87%.
Well, this
now,
actually comes into this brings it back to the whole how is it impacting on society, because it's showing that it's putting a realistic view on the players. Obviously, these players are thought to be, and this goes for all sports, the players are always thought to be these higher echelon human beings on another level to the general public. And it's like it's bringing a realistic view back for the players and showing that they are just, regular people, just like everybody else, who are going to be affected by this.
I would say in terms of society, like the players as well, their families, I know, they earn heaps, right? Yeah, but it's not like everyone can't just walk in and be a professional athlete. These guys train their backsides off for their whole lives, most of them. So they, like, saying they earn 600 grand a year, now they only earn 60, like say a tenth of what they're earning. Well, they still got they're thinking about how many years am I going to be a player for? How many years do I get a big contract for? Like, their families are now affected.
And not every single
families now might
single player can become a commentator either.
Yeah, exactly. So you got all these families now where, their significant other or another family member might have to pick up the slack. They can't find a job. That's how society's affected more. The people, the actual families in the NRL or any professional athlete might need to start working out what they need to do, where before they had a set plan. Hey, this is what we're doing. He's earning this much for this 4 years on this much money. And now it's like, well, what do we do? Do we have to get work? It's really starting to affect a lot of society now, not just where people go, hardworking Australians, middle class is being affected. No, it's everyone's being affected now, even the super rich, the super poor, everyone.
What were you going to say, Hayden?
I was going to say, we're starting to see a lot of players. I don't know if you guys have seen it now, but they're looking forward to the future. Obviously, I think rugby league will come back. Some people think it may not come back, which is just stupid. But a lot of players are really looking forward to a future after rugby league. A big example is, I believe it's Jake Friend has started like a plumbing company or a trading company. Victor Radley's back on the tool. All these players finding a financial way, as you say, funding their family and not just looking after themselves as an athlete, but looking after themselves as a person and having a possible future after rugby league. As you said, they are contracted for that time period. But what will an athlete do after that? As Blaze said, no one's going to be a commentator. You have to have a future. You can't retire at 30 and just do nothing,
Well, think about the guys that are commentators: Andrew Johns, Brad Fittler, Peter Sterling. Now you got Jonathan Thurston, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk. These are arguably the best players ever to play the game. It's not like you've got
Darren
anyone
Willie Lewis
that.
Paul Gallen.
You got the top players that play for Australia, Origin, won probably multiple premierships as the commentators, and not everyone has a gig at Channel 9 after they finish. So what are they going to do? What business are they going to have? What work are they going to do? What startup foundations are they going to have? So it's very interesting how it's not just affecting like middle class hardworking Australians. It's really affecting everyone. So society in general, I would say sport is people's livelihoods. They literally get paid to be good at sport. Yeah.
I'm going to transition from this through the fact that you've just referenced, that hard-working Australians and actually speak about specific. This is another American statistic. However, it does obviously relate. You just have to transition the numbers to be a lot less because of the population size and the amount of sports. But in America, in regards to employment in the sporting industry, so I'm assuming like stadium workers, I'm assuming the business side of sport,
backroom staff,
it's just everything to do with employment within the sport industry, America provides roughly 456,000 jobs in the industry. So if that's 456,000 right now, there's no NBA, there's no NFL, there's no NHL, there's no baseball, there's no nothing. So it's like there are 456,000, and I know there's a lot of NBA CEOs out there, like for example Mark Cuban, who really cares about his staff and is trying his best to pay what he can. However,
Yeah, Zion's
456,000
donating as well,
people,
yeah.
456, that's half a
That's a
million
big
people
number.
basically who are currently out of a
Is
job.
that
Yeah,
per
you
sport,
you
or
got
is
the
that for all
Zions, yeah.
sports?
What do you say,
Yeah,
Hayden?
no, it's all sports.
Is this for all sports combined or per person? That is a
That's in
per
America.
sport.
No. That's
a huge number.
all sports combined in America. America averages 456,000 jobs in the industry.
A lot of employment.
That's crazy. That's probably not even talking about like the travel around the games and stuff. Imagine how many people rely on, I would say, Uber driving, bus drivers, public
Bus drivers,
transport.
yeah.
That how many, like when you buy a ticket to a game, you get a free train ride or some form of public transport to the game. Like how many people are involved around that? It's just, I would say it could be even another 50,000 people, I would say, like really taking people to and from games, being around there late at night. It's crazy to think about. I would say that I think people don't realize it isn't, just the players, just around them, is literally everyone. So what they do, Blaze, and Hayden, what do they do in the meantime? That's the thing. What can they do in Australia? Really, it's about getting stimulus package and the benefits from that and settling. But what else can you do apart from stay home?
Well, you can be a YouTuber. you can do what we're doing. Like this is the best time to be a YouTuber or to be on social media, to be honest, because obviously you don't necessarily need to leave the house, but in the same sense, not everyone has the personality.
But you know what I mean in terms of like actually staying afloat, like actually holding your own at this time. You really need to, governments
keeping mental health and things.
Look, that would be just.
We're not going to get into the whole. We're not going to get into the whole political side of things. However, like the New Start allowance has been bumped up to $1,500 a fortnight or whatever it is. So it's like that is definitely enough to get by. Not for those who had serious, well-paying jobs, however, but you're going to notice that with a lot of the serious, well-paying jobs, they are moving towards being able to work from home and on the computer, and that's why you've seen the internet go down. It's more so to do with the hard-working Australians that have. I'm not saying those big-time up higher-ups aren't hardworking; they're incredibly hardworking. But I'm more so
talking
saying
about
like
actual more physical related jobs like construction work and stuff like that.
100%. So I feel like they're a lot more affected, but in the same sense, like I don't want anyone to think that I'm not saying that those higher ups aren't doing a phenomenal job in what they're doing.
I feel like people are either entertained by sport or earn from sport, whether they're a worker, backroom staff, or both. They're entertained and earning from sport. That is basically what society relies upon in terms of sport, that you're either entertained or earning. That's what I believe.
One thing I think about how it affects society, and not just thinking about us and people in our age group, and I started to speak on this, but I didn't reveal everything to you, Luke. But the big thing about sport for me is that you think of yourself as a child, and you look back on that now. One of the things that's most important that you will learn in your life, and you will learn it in jobs, you will learn it with friends, is teamwork.
And also, how to lose, FYI, I just want to throw that out there. Also, how to lose. But anyway, I'm not trying to distract you here, Hayden. Keep going with what you're saying. But I also want to encourage. I also want to encourage people out there to make sure that their kids do lose, so they understand how it feels to lose, so that they can build themselves up from that loss. Anyway, Hayden, go on.
Well, the way I think of it, though, is teamwork is something that you use with friendships, you use it with work, and you learn it during sport as a kid, whether it's stopping a defender. There can be different sports using an object or a ball, stopping opposition. That's what it's all about. And the fact that these law enforcements, as we said, we don't want to get too political, but basically here in Australia, the law enforcements are here to stay for 6 months. Now, the big thing is schools are open, education is a big one. The other thing is sport's a big one, and the effect on society is the fact that people aren't learning life lessons that are valuable, including teamwork, for at least 6 months, which is taking half a year out of someone's life and these young people are going to be disadvantaged by it if they choose never to play sport and they wanted to play it this year,
100%.
What
I'm
about,
gonna go
just
quickly on that. Encouraging youth to be active. Encouraging kids
Yeah,
to
I
get
was going
outside
to
the
say that,
house.
Blaze. Yeah, just the physical part of it. I'm going a bit cuckoo in here. There's no, I don't have that much gym equipment at home. You can't really go. Well, you can technically go for a run, but how far can you go from your house? You know what I mean?
And do you really want to leave the
it's
house to
just
go for that run?
yeah, like do you really want to bump into someone and they cough and you don't know. So everyone I've noticed is all the gym equipment sold out, all sporting equipment is sold out, soccer balls, bench press, boxing gloves, you name it, it's sold out. And no one has that outlet of sport to enjoy themselves, literally feel good, exercise, sport, just physical activity in general. It's really strange. It's very strange.
Well, that's the thing. Like, obviously, with kids, we're always encouraging, and I know I was always encouraged. Stop playing on the PlayStation all afternoon, all night. Stop being on the computer all night. And we found that even with sport in the background, even with sport, chugging along like normal, today's children obviously grow up a lot heavier on internet than I did, and I grew up heavily on the internet and with PlayStation and all that. However, I feel like now is a completely different time where people they live their life on the computer. So with sport being down and the fact with everything going on not being really allowed to leave the house, it's like we're not able to encourage our children or encourage people just people who are younger, or just even people our age, Luke, or anyone in general, to go out and actually lead a healthy, active lifestyle. There's no way to encourage the children to go out and, become like there's no health option really.
The only
No.
way right now that people can or should socialise is online, as you said. So, how does their mind state feel with no sport in regards to that? You think about the socialisation we've had all this time, building up to social media, which is now going to be so big during this time period. How do people sit at home without sport and stay in a mental mindset and remain sane? That's my question to you.
I'll tell you that people aren't. They're on my news feed going, "Where's the bloody game? Where's the footy?"
And you know what the craziest thing is? The craziest thing is that we've only really been in this for 2 weeks. Really, if you think about it, if you truly think about it, it's been a week, 2 weeks.
It's getting crazy, isn't it? People are beginning to realize, hey, well, if we could watch a bit of sport, watch a bit of footy,
that'd be nice.
Football, whatever, it'd be have something to look forward to most of the week, 4 days of the week. And now it's kind of like, well, what do we do? We're just going to watch Netflix all day. We're going to play COD all day. Like, what do we actually do? People are beginning to realize sport is entrenched into society. It is a big focal point.
Well, sport is incredibly entrenched into society when there is a thing called fantasy sports, which bring in at $7 billion a year annually.
Are you talking about like Supercoach?
I'm talking about like NFL fantasy. I'm talking Supercoach.
Oh, EPL fantasy.
EPL fantasy. Yeah. I'm talking anything fantasy, and obviously that can't happen now because there is no
What
sport
about
for the fantasy.
What about games like FIFA, literally based on a sport?
Well, that's the thing.
Where people are just so involved in FIFA ratings, like, oh, he's 91 overall. Oh, he should be 92. Like, everyone gets so involved. Like, oh, but didn't you see his goal against Brighton? Like,
that's how people are going to probably have to get their out for sport. That's how people are going to have to get their enjoyment through, gaming and FIFA and NBA 2K and NFL Madden, Rugby League Live 4. There's an AFL Live, I believe, as well. Like, there's a game for every sport, whether it's good or not. There is a game for every sport. However, look, there is esports. We all know that. Whether you actually believe it's a sport or not, that's another thing. But esports if it's like FIFA, if it's like Madden, I can understand it being classed as sport in today's day. But I don't class it as a sport. I know I'll probably get hate for that, but it's just how it is.
I find how the esports prize money is just astronomical now. There's a demand. There's a demand. Is it? What do you class as sport? Do you class sport as a physical activity? Because is darts,
But I still struggle to call motor racing a sport in my definition.
Is horse racing a sport? You know what I mean? Like, it's what is classified as a sport? Like, does it have to have physical movement? Esports, it could be a sport, it could be a skill. I don't know how to define it, but the audience is there. So
the audience is 100%
that's
there.
all
They
that
get
really
way
matters.
better
Oh, yeah.
viewership than any other sport in the world.
Sport in terms of like how we know it and how we define it, like rugby league, soccer, football, that kind of stuff. It's I don't know. Society's going crazy. It has been
Well,
2 weeks.
I've grown up calling look, my definition is obviously motor racing is a sport. It technically is a sport, and obviously horse racing is a sport. I personally look at horse racing. I don't even necessarily think it's a sport, but that's in my definition. My definition, I've always grown up thinking rugby league, team sports, football, AFL, NFL, NBA, all those sports. That's how I consider specifically a sport. I grew up doing surf life saving. I don't even necessarily believe that's a sport as such. And I know it's such a difficult question to answer.
You still got your budgie smugglers, Blaze?
Gee whiz, they would. I damn well hope they don't fit anymore, mate. I damn well hope they don't fit anymore.
Is Tinder a sport, Blaze?
Well, for you it is.
Can we
make it a
classify
sport?
Can we classify sport though? And you named all those sports that we all, and I agree, you don't call them sport. But can it be classed these days now as something where we all aim to achieve one goal? I'm not talking about soccer goal. I'm talking about an objective. And in sport, there's always something that you're trying to achieve. And you're putting in your absolute best to achieve that goal. Is that what we now classify?
That's a good definition, really.
I would say sport in terms of like motorsport. I definitely count motorsport as a sport. Like they train very hard. Their reaction
I'm not
times,
saying they don't have any training or anything like that. I think they work really hard
like
to do.
it's because physically, if you look at a rugby league player compared to like a F1 driver, like it's so physically different. But I don't even think you can get in an F1 car unless your reaction time is so good. So it's different aspects of performance is what they're good at. So yeah, I definitely class that as sport, but I know what you're saying. So it's just bring it back to the topic, like impact on society. Like everyone is just hanging out to watch anything really. Like sport you wouldn't usually watch. Everyone just wants to go, oh, is that still on there? Oh, I'll watch that. Like no one really wants to watch highlights over and over again. I believe they've got the Socceroos versus Uruguay 2005 game, which I will be watching.
I would watch that over and over again every year, even with sport.
Aloeto, everyone just wants to watch something. They want to watch something.
You saying that they want to watch something makes me think immediately of on Sunday, Bulldogs and the West Tigers played a sport, which I don't agree it's a sport at all. I don't think gaming is a sport, but they played the sport Fortnite against each other. People were tuning in.
They played Fortnite? I thought it was rugby league. Like live?
No, they played
Fortnite.
So
esports, there you go. People want to see it.
Well, people are betting on esports. It is the number one market on sports bet right now.
Yeah, but there's also betting on weather. We all know that Australians bet on 2 flies going up against the wall. You're betting.
Aussies love a slap, mate.
Mate, honestly,
mate, you can slap about it. They will.
Go and have a look. You go and have a look, and they're betting on whether the weather in buddy Darwin goes above 27.1, and you're just like. What?
Yeah, 28 degrees or something. Yeah.
No, but there's like a decimal system, and it's just like, man, this is hectic. Like, usually you'd be looking at, and there's Super Rugby where you're like, okay, whether bloody Artie Surveyor's going to score a try. Next minute you've got, oh no, I reckon Wagga Wagga's going to be above 32 degrees today. Like,
I reckon. What happens if Mr. Burns blocks out the sun, mate? What happens there?
Oh no. Well, then I'm definitely going the under. I'm betting the under. I'm betting all my money on the under. So,
especially that would be a big one actually. The gambling aspect.
Look, I think that with all gambling agencies, they've been taking a huge hit right now everywhere around the world, especially Las Vegas. Like, can you imagine Vegas right now? Actually, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Vegas completely shut down every casino, everything. Like, obviously, casinos. I'm not talking blackjack here.
You would have to.
Las Vegas is the biggest sports gambling place in the world.
You'd have to, because it's such a hub. Like New York, like they've had to make it a ghost town. It's just too many people from different parts of the world. You shake hands with someone, you bump into someone. You touch their hand on the way through while getting a drink, and then you bring it back to your own town, and you don't even know you have it. So it's just so weird how the whole world, literally, I would say, just sport is just. I don't even know. I don't think we actually realize how embedded it is. It's just everything. Like everything just
Try and think
like
of one thing in
half
society that
half
doesn't
my
have some form
shirts.
of impact. Try and think of one
Mate,
thing in
half my
society right now.
shirts. Looking at my wardrobe, I got all my Man United jerseys. Yeah, I got Dortmund jerseys. I've got I got a Sharks jersey. I've got old like England, and I think I got a German jersey as well somewhere. And it's just like a lot
I
of
don't
what I
think you
have.
want me to go through how many clothes I have from the sport, mate. I really don't think
That's
so.
what I mean. Like fashion, just fashion revolves around sport. Like all those clubs selling their merchandise, and people getting stuff on the back of their jersey of their favorite player. That's just not happening right now.
I've got friends that were going to go to games for the first time in a few years, and we went to the shops. We were going to buy jerseys. Basically, that day the season suspended, and you think about how much it brings in regards to families buy jerseys. You see families go to games and buy jerseys, support their team. But besides seeing maybe a cap, which I mean you shouldn't be outside. So if you're listening, don't go outside. I've got no choice. I'm an essential worker. But you see people wearing sporting caps. That's all you see. You don't see someone wearing a jersey anymore on the streets, on social media, nowhere. And it's a sad factor. And that proves, back to the topic, that it is affecting society because you're taking away what you own and you're removing it.
That's it. I would say like when someone has a meteoric rise, it's like when Ronaldo at Man United, your Aguero's at Man City, your Harry Kane's at Tottenham. They have a meteoric rise. Everyone gets their jersey. Like everyone's watching sport. Everyone knows who they are. Like Bale at Tottenham as well. Like
LeBron
everyone
James.
wants to get their jersey. Everyone wants to get their jersey and wear it, and it's all based around sport. Everyone's talking about who their favorite player. Now you just don't have those convos. It's just I don't even know. I think we've said it a few times, but it's just weird. Like we're sport, like we're very into sports, but just people in general, like it's a conversation starter. Oh, what team you support? Oh, that's a nice jersey, mate. Like that's how you get to know people. When
Look, I'll be honest.
It's just
I
strange.
don't. I'm not a smoker, right? So I don't know the conversations that happen. Like when you go to a nightclub or when you go and there's that smokers section where everyone clicks and they start talking. But I would imagine that a lot of those conversations do actually start up around sport. And I know that in a club, when I'm speaking, or just like a pub or something, or especially a pub actually, I should use a pub rather than a club. But the pub is just like the only way you meet other people is by
retro jerseys,
or just referencing sport in some way. Look, we've gone through quite a lot of impacts. I won't go too much longer, but I do want to go into a little bit of the future impact that sport will have after this hiatus. How do you feel like this will impact sport in the future without throwing clubs under the bus?
I would say just it's everything, isn't it? Like in terms of promotion relegation leagues, wow, what do you do?
Well,
what do you do?
I was speaking to you about this last night, actually. The thing I believe I heard through the grapevine, and this is all obviously rumours. There's no official anything yet. So
you give Liverpool the league.
Well, they're not. They've actually officially came out and said this. Unless the league does finish, unless they get their 2 more wins, they don't get the league, which is just the ultimate. It's the ultimate beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's
but we're not
such a
get
troll.
that.
They're just trolling at this point. Sure.
Oh, 100%. But what I'm going to say in regards to the promotion relegation thing is that apparently they're going to promote the 2 teams at the top who automatically qualify. They won't add the 3rd team in because that's a playoff system between 4th,
from the
3rd,
championship,
4th, 5th, and 6th. Yeah, from the championship. Yeah. And then from the Premier League, the 3 clubs that were there don't get relegated. They stay in there. It becomes a 22-team league next season, and then 5 teams the year after are the ones that get relegated. 5 teams.
Well, I would say 2021 is the year of sport.
Oh, it's
feel
crazy,
like
bro. It's crazy how much sport's going to be next year.
The Olympics,
The
Tokyo,
Olympics,
that got moved.
The Euros.
The Euros got moved. I think what's it called? The South American Copa America, all that. That's going to be moved. Yeah, 2021 will be
Is AFCON
the
on?
year of sport.
I think
It'll just be the
AFCON's
year
on
of
as
sport.
well.
I think. Yeah, I guess it's going to be a very big turning point. I think in terms of hygiene in sport, maybe blood bin stuff, saliva related spitting. I don't know if they can change all that, but I feel like they'll be more stringent stuff before the game in terms of hygiene and things like that.
It,
Just
it,
because
it's
you
gone
just
from
don't
checking.
want anyone getting it.
It's gone from checking steroids to checking if you've got sickness.
What a
Yeah,
shame that the FIFA World Cup isn't next year. It's still another 2 years away. That would be included in the year of sport, remember? Having the Olympics and the FIFA World Cup in the same year.
Wow. Yeah, that would have been crazy.
I'm just saying that
I don't even know
England is currently planning for an 18-month thing, so we could still I pray to God this all goes away. However, I'm just saying there is no guarantee that it happens next year either. So things could get moved to 2022. We don't know how long this is going to go, but we're not going to get into that. Another thing I was going to say was that how much does this impact, and obviously we can't talk too long here, but how much does this impact on players' legacies? Let's look at LeBron James, for example. He was probably going to win a chip this year. Obviously, Clippers fans might disagree. Bucks fans may disagree. I don't care. Point of the matter is that Lakers were more than likely going to win the chip this year. How does this impact players like LeBron James' legacy, who now potentially loses out on, breaking more records, trying to, get to the level of Michael Jordan? And that's for a conversation for another day. But how does this impact players?
I have a weird theory about this. I feel like the older players with this break gives them a massive recharge physically that they would have never got in a standard playing season. And I think it can bring longevity to their career.
So players like Benji Marshall, Cameron Smith, LeBron James
could play on for that extra season or two just because they've had a big rest.
That's a very positive way of looking at it. I hope that is the case, but it's good to be optimistic like that in regards to the way players are going to be. I'm actually on the opposite side. I don't think it'll force players into retirement or playing their worst football or worst soccer, whatever sport it may be. But I do think that you won't see the complete best out of them, and you'll see that they're in a completely different state to what they were on the field, making errors. Because if Blaze is right, and God I hope he's wrong, if sport is going to be gone for that long, how do you expect people to play in their prime? I personally think of rugby league, and I think of Katoni Staggs and Mitchell Pearce having a great start to the season. How do we know that in 6 months or 10 months, whenever time, that these players are going to pick up where they left off with no pre-season or no,
It's like just cutting it's literally cutting a season short and going, hey, let's go have another pre-season. It's strange. It is very strange. They would be doing a lot of training scenes, but in terms of actual match fitness, match awareness, form, that's gone now, isn't it? I guess it's a chance for everyone else to
the NRL have said that when they
pull up their socks. Yeah.
The NRL have said that when they do come back, that they have to give a month's notice to get that match fitness up and rearing.
Oh, they've got to.
Yeah.
They've got to, 100%. They've got to. I think all sports need to. It's going to be tough. I think all sports need a time period of allowance, saying we're coming back, for example, on June 1st, and letting players know at least a month in advance so that they can train and be ready. They have to.
Yeah, in terms of strength-related stuff, that can come back fairly quickly. I don't know how much training these people are doing behind the scenes. I would assume they're being told to do somewhat, or they might have access to these facilities somehow. But in terms of just general fitness and stuff, cardiovascular and strength-based components of fitness can come back very, very quickly, especially if someone's got to a very elite level. But yeah, they have to give I would say at least 4 to 6 weeks notice to give a decent little preseason in.
I just want to say that the hardest thing to take out of all this, and I know a lot of people don't like Tom Brady, but that's simply because he's so successful. It really is. It's simply the only reason you wouldn't like LeBron James is the same reason you wouldn't like Tom Brady. I meant to use that the opposite way around, but it's the point of the matter is that because they're successful, people hate them. So what I'm going to say here is that the most depressing thing here would be not seeing Tom Brady play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I know you guys aren't really NFL fans, but...
Nah, he'll play. He'll play.
Yeah, but what if it doesn't come back what if they miss out this season? He's already, 42?
Mate, he's playing. He's signed the contract. He's playing.
Yeah, it's a 1-year contract.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
It's a 1-year contract.
It can increase the longevity of players. They're not used to having a good rest for their body. I reckon it can give them an extra season or two. I allude to this because Billy Slater it's happened with him where he had a long shoulder injury, big break, I think it was for 18 months, and then he was playing well into his 30s,
Yeah, but
33,
see,
34,
I
35.
agree with you, but we're talking 42 years old here, Tom Brady. 42. He's nearly
But
50,
Tom
bruv.
Brady, Tom Brady is Tom Brady, has the best nutritionists, trainers, everything. He is a freak of nature. Plus, his physical capabilities. He's not sprinting, 50 yards down the field. His objective is game awareness and his throwing arm. That is
Yes,
his two main things. As long as he has his mental ability and he can back that up with his arm, he's fine to go.
I agree, but you also have to look at the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is going to let literally 6 sacks a game on Tom Brady, and that's a 42-year-old. Sorry. He'll be 43 actually. He turns 43 in August. So he's actually going to be 43.
They better hold up their end of the deal.
Just a quick recap. We'll end it here, boys. We've spoken quite in depth about this, and it's been a really good discussion. Just in recap, obviously, for everyone listening out there, like it impacts on society way more than just I'm going to go watch the footy on Thursday. Like, obviously, that is the main thing. That was the first thing that Luke said, and that's the first thing on everyone's minds. That
Hayden said it as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah. The first thing that was said by both of you at the start. Everyone has that thought process of watching sport on the weekends and watching sport during the week with American sports and whatnot. But the point of the matter is that we've delved way deeper than that and shown that, like, on an economic level, which is actually the main thing here in reality, it absolutely shatters. The sport absolutely shatters the economy. And
it's a business, isn't it? It is a business.
Oh, it is a business, 100%.
Well, yeah.
It's a way of bringing in revenue, providing entertainment. There are so many different categories you can classify it under, and we're losing those categories for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that summarizes everything is that we spoke about one specific club, one specific franchise in the Chicago Cubs bringing in roughly $600 million to the state of Illinois annually. That's one club. That's not including the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago White Sox, the Chicago Bears, and the Blackhawks, nothing. That's just one club in one city. And it's a major city, but it's one club in one city, which is roughly $600 million to the state of Illinois annually. That shows how much sport actually truly brings to society.
One baseball club.
Exactly.
Crazy.
It shows how much sport brings to society rather than just the actual aesthetics of the game.
Pretty much agree with everything. There's a lot of people affected in the sport itself and outside the workers that help keep the game running. Pretty much, I would say, in terms of society, that we're just going to have to wait it out, I guess, until they get a grip of things.
We have to wait out whether it's 1 month, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 1 month, whether it's a year away. The point of the matter is that, we just have to, get by listening to In the Sheds with the boys.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a pretty good option in the time being.
Yeah, or I actually...
stick with us and you'll be right.
I don't know if you guys... I know Hayden has. I don't know if you've seen it, Luke, but I came out with a new series today, which is a little bit of a replacement for rugby league fans. Which is the National Isolation League. Now, this is showing how crazy we've become in 2 weeks' time. National Isolation League is a new, basically simulated 2020 NRL season where, I'm using statistics to bring results based on home advantage and ladder positions and stuff like that. And then
I saw Cronulla lost. Well, all I'm saying is they shouldn't have. That's a rip-off, I reckon. That I don't believe in that.
Oh, mate, listen.
Whatever you got going on there, but
you sound like my mum. She's a Sharks fan, and I told her about the system before I made the video, and she was like, "Nah, I think we would have beaten the Knights," and I'm like, "You probably would have, but that's not what the system is."
Now you spoiled it. Now you've completely spoiled it, Blaze. Come on, mate.
Listen to yourself. Anyway, boys, let's cut it there. We've spoken about it, but that's the point. Like, we've gotten to a point now where I'm literally simulating what it would have been like if the season had continued. And obviously the Titans lost anyway, so that's pretty much straight up. So anyway, boys, let's cut it there.
It sounds pretty realistic.
Yeah, it sounds pretty realistic. Obviously, thanks to you guys for jumping on.
No worries, just had to wait 5 hours for you to fix everything up.
Lovely. Well, that's what happens.
No, it was good fun.
That's what happens when we haven't done a podcast in since 2018.
Hey, what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? Oh, you want to do a podcast?
Dude, people have been
I
asking for it.
have a mate that wants to do it too. Right? Yeah, this sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way it goes. But and yeah, thanks Hayden for jumping on. Obviously, you're now part of the co-host, so you're not just a third wheel.
No, it was a good topic to cover as well. I think we really got stuck into it, and I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, like I said, that is going to do us, but we do have a literally 2-3 pages worth of topics that can come. But guys in the audience, please, if you do have any ideas, then just jump on and shoot us through, because we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. We will be getting players on, we will be getting fans on, we will be getting other people on like we did before. But obviously this was the first episode, and for the first couple of episodes, we're going to get back into the system and create that report. So yeah, we won't get people on just yet. But if you are interested, hit me up on a DM on Instagram at BKR YouTube, and obviously go and follow these boys at Shirls and Entertain House. Let's jump off for now, and we will see you guys next Wednesday for the next In the Sheds. Alright guys, have a good one. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.